Hi guys! This is Mamalu. Welcome back to my YouTube channel! So after discussing about the different methods of solving quadratic equations, let us now talk about the nature of the solutions or the roots of the quadratic equation. The roots of a quadratic equation ax squared plus bx plus c equals 0, as solved using the quadratic formula are x sub 1 is equal to negative b plus square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2a, and x sub 2 is equal to negative b minus square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. The expression b squared minus 4ac is called the discriminant of the quadratic equation. And this discriminant provides us information regarding the nature of the roots of the quadratic equation. Okay, so let's talk about the nature of roots. So if a, b, and c are real numbers, and d is equal to b squared minus 4ac, then the roots of a quadratic equation ax squared plus bx plus c equals 0 are real and unequal if d is greater than 0. So we use RU if d is greater than 0. Next, real and equal if d is equal to 0. So we use RE-DO. Okay? Then the third, imaginary and unequal if d is less than 0. Moreover, it is rational. The root is rational if d is a perfect square. And irrational if d is not a perfect square. These are the 5 natures of roots of the quadratic equation. So for the first, real and unequal if d is greater than 0. Second, real and equal if d is equal to 0. And imaginary and unequal if d is less than 0. Moreover, it is rational if d is a perfect square and irrational if d is not a perfect square. So these are the 5 natures or the characteristics. Sometimes sa ibang libro tawag dyan characteristics of the roots that you have to memorize. Okay, so let's try to solve some examples. Okay, example number 1, determine the nature of the roots of each equation. Letter A, x squared minus 6x plus 9 equals 0. So as you can see, the given equation is in the form of ax squared plus bx plus c equals 0. Wherein your a is 1, your b is negative 6, and your c is 9. Okay? So kuhanin natin yung discriminant, which is equal to b squared minus 4ac. Your b is negative 6, so it should be negative 6 quantity squared minus 4 times 1 times 9. Alright? Now, negative 6 quantity squared is 36 minus 4 times 1 is 4 times 9 is 36. So that is equal to 0. Now, if your discriminant is equal to 0, what do you remember about the nature of roots? Okay, the roots are real, equal from our RE-DO, no? Because d is equal to 0. And if your d is a perfect square, then the root is rational because 0 is a perfect square. Okay, so let's have the second example. So letter B, x squared plus 6x plus 5 equals 0. So the given equation is again in the form of ax squared plus bx plus c equals 0, wherein a is 1, b is 6, and c is 5. So getting the discriminant, which is equal to b squared minus 4ac, since your b is 6, so we have 6 squared minus 4 times 1 times 5. 4 times 1 times 5 is 20. And 6 squared is 36. So 36 minus 20 is, alright, that is 16. So as you can see, the discriminant is greater than 0. So, if the discriminant is greater than 0, what can you say about the root? Okay, so it must be real, unequal, and 16 is a perfect square. Therefore, it must be rational. Okay? So, real, unequal, and rational. Okay? So, let's have the third example. Letter C. 2x squared minus 4x plus 5 equals 0. So this quadratic equation is in the form also of ax squared plus bx plus c equals 0, wherein a is 2, b is negative 4, and c is 5. So if we get the discriminant, which is equal to b squared minus 4ac, we have negative 4 squared, or negative 4 quantity squared, minus 4 times 2 times 5. 4 times 2 is 8 times 5 is 40. Alright, so we have 16 minus 40. 16 minus 40 is negative 24. Okay? So, in that case, the discriminant is a negative number. So, it is less than 0. So, what do you remember if the discriminant is less than 0? Okay, so the nature of the root, it is unequal and imaginary. Now, let's have letter D. 5x squared minus x minus 2 is equal to 0. So again, this one is in the form of ax squared plus bx plus c equals 0, wherein a is 5, b is negative 1. Alright? Then c is negative 2. So solving for the discriminant, which is equal to b squared minus 4ac. So negative 1 quantity squared minus 4 times 5 times negative 2. Okay? So ang 4 times 5 is 20 times negative 2 is negative 40. So that is 1 minus negative 40, or simply 1 plus 40, which is 41. Okay, now your d is greater than 0. So the roots, okay, it is real, it is, or the real are unequal, and what else? Is it a perfect square? No, 41 is not a perfect square. It is not a perfect square. Therefore, the roots are irrational. Let us try another example. Example number 2. Determine the value of k so that the indicated condition in each equation will be satisfied. Alright, this time you're going to determine the value of k. So tingnan natin kung nasan yung k. Letter A, 3x squared plus 4x plus k equals 0. And given dyan yung nature ng root. So the roots are real, and unequal. Okay? So, what do you remember kapag ang roots ay real and unequal? Okay, so D must be greater than 0. Kasi nga, ang roots ay real and unequal. Remember? Yung first, nature, no? Okay, so, from the given quadratic equation, which is in the form of ax squared plus bx plus c equals 0, hanapin natin ang A, ang B, at saka ang C. Okay, so it is clear that A is 3, B is 4, and C is K. Okay, so let us solve for the discriminant, which is given as b squared minus 4ac. So from the given quadratic equation, our b is 4. So we have 4 squared minus 4 times a. Our a is 3. And c is k. Alright? Okay, so we have 4 squared minus 4 times 3 times k. At ang sabi natin, if the roots are real and unequal, the discriminant is greater than 0. So we put there greater than 0. So we have 4 squared is 16 minus 4 times 3 is 12. So we have 16 minus 12k greater than 0. Now, ang objective natin dito ay kuhanin ang k. Alright? So we must isolate k on the left side. So in order to isolate that, we have to add negative 16 on the left as well as on the right. So we have adding negative 16 on the left. Okay, we have negative 12k greater than adding negative 16 on the right. So add negative 16. So negative 12k is greater than negative 16. Now, in order to get k, we must divide both sides of the equation by the coefficient of k. And what is that? Okay, negative 12. So dividing both sides by negative 12 will give you negative 12k divided by negative 12 is k. Negative 16 divided by negative 12, that is positive 4 over 3. But then, we have the rule for inequalities. No? If you are dividing or multiplying by a negative number, you have to change the sign of the inequality. So yung greater than dyan, you have to change it to a less than because you divided by a negative number. Therefore, k is less than 4 over 3. Is that clear? Now, let's have letter B. If the roots of x squared plus kx minus 3x plus k equals 0 are real and equal, what must be the value of k? So kapag real and equal, do you still remember yung lesson natin kanina? Okay, re, do. So if it is real and equal, the discriminant is equal to 0. Okay? Now, you will see in our given that you have kx minus 3x. Those two terms may be grouped together. Okay? Because meron siyang common factor. So, grouping them together will will give you a common factor of x. Right? Kaya yan naging x squared plus x quantity k minus 3 plus k equals 0. So this time, that's already in the form of ax squared plus bx plus c equals 0. Wherein a is 1. Yes, correct. Then, our b is what? Our b is k minus 3 because that's the coefficient of x. And our c is k. So, getting the discriminant b squared minus 4ac, so we have b, our b is k minus 3. So, k minus 3 quantity squared. Alright? Minus 4 times a. A is 1. Times c. What is our c? Okay, so it's k. So, this is minus 4 times 1 times k. And since the roots, the nature of the roots are real and equal, so the discriminant is equal to 0. Now, we have k minus 3 quantity squared. So, kailangan pumasok dito yung special products, no? Square of a binomial. So, what's the square of that? I hope you still remember from your grade 8 lesson. So, it's k squared minus 6k plus 9. Alright, minus 4 times 1 times k is 4k equals 0. Okay, so I think I need to transfer myself to the other side. So, here, we can combine negative 6k and negative 4k because they are common factors. For us to have k squared minus 10k, negative 6k minus 4k is negative 10k plus 9 equals 0, which is again quadratic. So, for us to get k, we need to factor this once more. Right? I hope you still remember factoring. So, the factors of these are, alright, k minus 9 times k minus 1 equals 0. And then, equating each factor to 0, so k minus 9 equals 0, so k equals 9. And k equals 1. So those are the values of k, 9 or 1. Ooh. Guys, I hope that you learned something from our lesson today. So, para dun sa mga hindi pa po nakaka-subscribe, please don't forget to click the subscribe button and the notification bell para ma-notify kayo every time I post videos. And also, para dun sa mga nakakakita na, nakakapanood na ng mga videos ko, please i-share nyo po ito sa iba para marami po tayong matulungan. Okay? So, bye guys!